Hi, my name is Davia Odoy, and I will be showing you how to draw in Procreate today for the month of February. I've been going live on Fridays around this time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard, teaching you how to use Procreate. A lot of creatives have this app and they don't know how to use it, so that's what the purpose of this live is about, just showing you how to draw. Also, because I've been showing you how to draw in Procreate, I have enabled a course. It is free for this month. If you go to artbizbakery.com, you can access this file that I'm looking at. So we've been drawing every week together, and I've showed you how to create this from scratch, and I've showed you how to color it. So in today's class, I'm just going to show you a bit more how I color in my art style. If this is an art style, if you're familiar with my art, you may notice that I do not use outlines in my art, and that's just my art style. And so in this particular live, we're going to go into detail exactly how I color my characters. In the last class, we actually colored this image. So what I'm doing in this class, I'm going to color it again, but using a different technique just to show you how I get my characters to look the way that they do. And I like outlining when I'm sketching, but when I'm actually coloring, I do not use outlines, or I kind of cheat in how I use my outlines. All right, so let's do that. So with this file on layer 1, this is my master file. So I'm going to duplicate it. I always duplicate my master file so that I can save it and put it away. That way, if anything gets messed up, if I make a mistake, my master file is there and I don't have to worry about losing that. So I always will duplicate my master file and lock it away. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm renaming it. And let's lock it, and I turned it off. So it's there, but it's off. You can tell it's off because there's no check mark right here in this little box. So now I'm on this layer. This is the layer that I'm using, and I'm going to lower the opacity. To lower the opacity, tap this little N and slide down to the left. And I'm going to slide down to around 20% because I still want to see the art. So because it's going to serve as my guide. So I still want to see the art, but I don't want it to be too pronounced where I can't tell the new art that I'm doing. So I did that, lower the opacity, and I'm going to lock this layer as well. And I'm going to work below it. Some artists will work above. I'm going to work below it because I still need to see these lines as my guide. So let's create a new layer, hit plus, and then I'm going to move the layer below where I'm working. Whenever you hit plus, it automatically will add the layer above whatever current layer you're on, but I want my guide to be above everything. So I have a master that's turned off. That is there in case I make a mistake. I can always go back. And the actual layer that I'm using as my guide is here. And I can rename that too. Let's rename that. I like to rename as I go because it helps me to stay organized and I don't get confused with what I'm doing. So this is my guide. I renamed it guide. And I'm going to lock that, lock, and turned on. So all right, now I'm in my layer. Now, in this, what I'm going to do is coloring. So because I'm coloring, I like to keep my colors on separate layers. So that's what I'm going to do first and foremost. So let us pick a brush, and then we're going to trace around. Now, when I say keep my colors on separate layers, this is what I mean. So I'm going to pick a brush, and I'm going to focus on skin first, and that's just me. I like to build upwards, so skin, clothing, and then hair, and then accessories. So I'm going to focus on skin first. I'm going to go here, brushes, just tap here, and I actually use a lot of the brushes that come with Procreate. I have a few brushes that I've purchased, but I always revert back to the same brushes. So just FYI, if you see brushes out there and you want to purchase, I've heard a lot of artists say that they usually just revert back to what they're used to. So I would purchase brushes if there's just certain things that I can't do and a brush can do for me. But if you could do it on your own, you could making your own brush is just as simple. And I'll show you that in another tutorial how to make your own brush. But for now, let us go into the brush library. I'm going to use the default brushes that comes in Procreate. So let's go down to inking and let's choose syrup. I like syrup for some reason. It works well for me. So let's choose syrup. So we pick the brush. Great. Next, we want to pick the color. I'm going to pick we can do, it's at black right now. We can do black. I'll show you how to recolor it in a second. So you can do black or you can pick the colors you want to use. Since this is still, I want to keep this beginner friendly, I'm going to keep it as black and then we'll recolor it later. So select black. For some of you, this may be like a refresher based on what we've done already, but trust the process. I'm going to show you something different. All right, so we're going to do the face because I am coloring the face today first. So let's use our guide and let's make the face on a new layer. So I picked the brush, I'm keeping it black, and I'm going to trace around the face right now. And I would use symmetry, but I'm not for this course. For this session, let's just practice drawing in the app. So starting off here, if you make a mistake, just double tap to erase. My brush is a little too thick, so I'm going to bring it down. So let's start here at the widow's peak, go around. I like to take breaks in my drawing, and I like to stop wherever the shape kind of ends. So the curve for the hair is here, so that's where I stop. Now I'm going to do the jawline. And my hand just couldn't go any further, so come around and stop. I'm going to go back and fix my mistakes. So I'm not using symmetry for this session, just because I do want to practice drawing a bit more. Practice really does make perfect, especially in art. So I made the jawline, and now I'm going to make the other side of the hair. Now this image is symmetrical because that's how I made it initially. But to practice my freehand drawing skills, we're turning symmetry off. I see people in the room. Hello and welcome. I am live on 3 different apps right now, and I'm so excited. I've never done that before. But unfortunately, I haven't figured out how to see all 3 at the same time. So I am monitoring my live stream on TikTok. So if you're watching on TikTok and you make a comment, I should be able to see you. But if you're on YouTube or on Instagram and you left a comment, I hopefully I'll be able to see it later, but I can't respond to it right now. But I'll figure all that out. So there, I made the face. Okay, I traced an outline of the face. And for coloring purposes, I want the face on its own layer. So that's there. Let's create a new layer. We could call this layer face. New layer. Let's do the body. Now, just like in real life, let's imagine that the clothes is sitting on top of the body. So we're going to actually draw the whole body without the clothes. And it'll just be easier for when it's time to color. So I'm going to start down here and go up and just follow my line. I did that a little fast. Let me go a little bit slower. And and press. When you're in Procreate, if you press down on your stylus, the art should be thicker. If you want a line that's lighter, by default, it responds to pressure. So again, no symmetry today because I want to practice my hand drawing skills. Symmetry is a little bit of a cheat. If I was creating this for commercial use, I personally would want it to be as symmetrical as possible because that's just my art style. But if you are an artist who likes to have lines that's not so perfect, then you wouldn't use symmetry. All right, so now because I'm coloring, my purpose is to color this image. I need to connect the top of the neck. Even though there's a line here, that line is from the face. So if I turn it off, you see this is wide open. So let's still connect the neck. I actually will go above where the line meets like that. All right. And then now let's do the inside of the arm. Okay. And for the body, outlining the body, that means it's joined right here, down. And let's do the same thing on the other side. And it's joined right here. Now I'm a digital artist. Traditional art, that's not my wheelhouse because it frustrates me. I make a lot of mistakes, and so digital art allows me to correct my mistakes quite easily. So I'm a digital artist. I am proud of that. No, I do not feel guilty at all for being a digital artist. So let's turn off, let's turn off our guide. Let's just see what we have. So we have the outline of the body here. We have the outline of the face here. So what's left? The hair, and then the details of the face and the earrings or shirt and stuff like that. So let's do, you know what, let's do the shirt next. So for the shirt should be above the body. Let's rename this body. Again, to rename, just tap on the layer, and where you see this window pops out, tap rename, and you should be able to rename your layers that way. So next I want to hit plus. Oh, I see a question. Which brush are you using? I'm using, this is the syrup brush. So I like to use the brushes that come in Procreate. So this is a brush that's native to Procreate. So go under brush, scroll down to inking, and look for a brush called syrup. And that's the one that I'm using right now. I like using syrup because it has a taper, and you can adjust the taper. The taper means there's a point at the beginning, it gets thicker in the middle, and then there's a point at the end. And when you're drawing, so I like to use syrup, and you could always adjust brushes too, but that's the brush that I'm using. All right, so I am on a new layer. Let's do hair. So I'm going to rename it first. Let's do the hair on this layer. And I'm not using symmetry, again, only because I want to practice my hand drawing skills. And every time you practice it, you will get better. And I've been drawing for a long time, and yes, I still practice. All right, so let's do the hair. The hair is pretty wavy. I did that a little fast. Let me do that again. Now you can take your time. If you're just joining the stream, this file is available at artbizbakery.com. This file that I'm looking at, just enroll in the course called Digital Art 101, and you will have access to this file. And now I'm just going to go around and make the hair. And then here. All right, so there's something that I need to do just to make coloring this a little bit easier. I need to bring the hair down below everything. This hair is going to be behind everything. So I just moved it down here. Now let's pretend that the hair is flowing through the back, just like it would in real life. Your hair would fall behind you. So we're going to bring that around. Now we're going to continue on the other side. And in order to not get confused, we can turn off some of the other layers because we're concentrating on the hair. And again, I want the hair to be on its own layer. So let's turn off everything else so that we don't get confused with what we're working on. Now back to the hair layer, and we're going to continue with the drawing. Now my lines will not be perfect because what's underneath is just a guide, and that's okay. Almost done. And you want to make sure that whatever you're drawing, in digital art at least, you want to make sure that you're closing your shapes. Because when it's time to color, you need closed shapes to be able to color without making a huge mistake. So just, you want to focus on closing in your shapes. So there is the hair, okay? The hair is on its own layer, and it's a shape. It's like a circle with some curves at the ends, right? So it's a shape. It's a fully closed shape. So hair is done. Face is done. Body is done. Let's do the shirt. The shirt should be above the body. So click on body, then click the plus sign. Let's rename it right now. Call it shirt, SHIRT. All right, so we're going to make the shirt again. It is a symmetrical design, but I'm not using symmetry. So now let's create the shirt. I'm on a new layer. My brush is the same, syrup, using black for now. And now let's make the shirt. And because we're making the shirt, we are going to make just the outline of the shirt. So just the outside. And we want to make a fully enclosed design. All right, so going around the shoulder, going around the chest. Now there's something I need to do. I need to double check where my body is. My body is there. When you're drawing clothes on characters, let me start over. When you're drawing clothes on your characters, because I already have my body layer made, then I want to make the clothes just a little bit bigger than the body. So I'm going to actually come out a bit more. So let's do that again. So you see that I've like surpassed the line. So I'm going to draw on the outside of my guide because I want the clothes to cover up the body. So there. So I'm still following my guides, but I'm making sure that the clothes is on the outside. I hope that makes sense. So my line for my clothes, it should not rest exactly on the guide because that's where the body is. And when it's time to color, it's going to compete with each other if the lines are exactly the same. So I always make my clothes a little bit bigger. All right, so I'm still drawing the shirt and I'm going around the body and I'm making sure that my lines are outside of, that was a little too thick. So I'm making sure that the shirt is a little bit bigger than my guideline. So it'll actually look like she's wearing the shirt. Let me turn everything on to see what I've done. So I've done the hair. I've done the head. I've done the main elements. The smaller details we'll do later, but the main elements are done. So let's color the main elements. And so let's start with the skin. Now I tend to not use outlines. I do use outlines, but I use them a little differently, and I'm going to show you how. All right, so for the head, we have here, and the head, I want to color in the head, but not on this layer. I'm going to duplicate the head, so let's duplicate it. And then I'm going to color it in black. There you go. Then the body, I'm going to duplicate that area. And the lower one, the lower layer, I'm going to drag it in. To color it in, I simply drag and drop. And then for the hair, same thing. Duplicate the lower layer hair. Let's turn that on first. The lower layer hair, I'm going to just drag and drop my color black. And now I have a black color, right? So now let's actually color the image. I'm going to show you just how I do that. I want to do skin tone first. So let's work on the body and the head. Let's make her a nice brown color. So click on this circle right here in the corner. This is where your colors are. Just click on it. You should see a color wheel. And you should see a whole bunch of colors down here. The colors at the bottom, I believe, are all colors I've used recently. That's why they show up like this. And if there's a color that you don't see, you can always just go around the color wheel and pick it yourself. If you need to pick an exact color, let's say you are working, you're working on your brand or for someone else's brand and they have an exact color that they need you to use in your art, you can always enter it in here where it says value. And you can always enter in the codes here and it'll come up just exactly the same. But I don't have anything I need to stick to. I'm just freestyling. So color wheel, we're going to look for a nice skin tone brown. So it's just going to be right here between the yellow and red. So right here. And then inside, we're going to drag this circle around to find the exact color that we want. I want a brown tone. That's brown. And I'm on the body layer. So now I'm just going to drag it in. Oops. Let's do that again. I need to drag it in into the body. There. The body is there. Next, let's go to the head. And I'm going to drag it into the head. And I need to move my head above my body so that we don't see that neckline. So let's move this up. And we need both. We need both the outline and the fill color. Head, head above body. So you see it's building. So her skin is brown, her face is brown, but her outline is still black. Let me turn off the hair for now because we're not working on the hair. The outline is still black and I don't want it to be black. I want it to be brown, but just a little bit darker. So let me show you how I do that. I will go back to my outline layers of the head and the body. So click on the head. I want a slightly darker brown, still the same brown, but just a little bit darker. So I'm just going to slide this down. If you slide down, it gets darker. If you slide up, it gets lighter. Just sliding it down. Just want it a slightly darker for my outline. It's there. And now I'm going to do something different. I'm going to select and I'm going to click here where it says fill color. And if you see, it turned that outline to that dark brown. And it's right there. Let's do the same thing for the body. Click on the body outline. And then I'm going to tap here in the square, tap here. This dialog box opens up. Hit select. When you hit select, this window, this is another dialog box opens up at the bottom. And because I already had it on fill color, it did just that. It filled that particular selection with that color. So let's say I wanted green. If I change the color to green, it would fill it in for me, green. But because I'm doing skin tone, I want it to be that slightly darker brown. There. All right, so let's turn off my guide just to see. All right, so you can see my character is there. It's brown for the skin and a slightly darker color brown for the outline. And if I don't want to use outline at all, I'll just turn it off. And let me turn it off so you can see. But when you turn off the outline, certain elements get lost, like the neck. So let me turn that back on. All right, so I've colored my skin and the hair. The hair is black. That's fine for now. All right, so now let's turn on the shirt. Same thing for the shirt. We're going to duplicate the shirt layer. Duplicate it. And our shirt had some details, so this is the time where we want to add those details. So let's turn back on our guide. And now let's work on the, I already duplicated my shirt, so let's work on this layer that's underneath. Or, no, let's work on the layer that's on top. I'm going to go back to black. Any color that you used recently will be right here in your history, right here. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to build up the shirt because there's some details on this shirt already. And I don't want to get distracted, so I'm going to turn off everything else so I can focus on the shirt. So I have two shirts, but I'm going to work on the first layer, the top layer shirt, and that's the one I'm going to build up even more. So let's now go back in and draw the rest of the details. This shirt has a collar. In Procreate, if you press and hold, it'll perfect the line for you. So if you want a perfect looking line, make it and then just hold and it'll perfect it for you. So let me do it again over here. On this side. Oh, nope, I don't want it straight. I want it curved. Let's see if it'll build it for me. There. And when you're making your lines, you want to make sure it connects. I have a line going through the middle. So just straight up. And there's a flower above it. So I'll erase. I made the line out. Now I'm going to erase this middle here. To erase it, click on your eraser. Your eraser will matches your brushes that you select. So I also use syrup for my brushes, for my eraser brushes as well. You can use whatever brush you want for your eraser, but I use syrup because I'm using syrup to draw. I'll use syrup to erase. So let's erase right there. And I'm just going to go back through and just erase this middle part because I don't need it. And now let's work on building up the middle. She has a flower on her chest. So there's a circle in the middle. I'm not gonna worry about making it perfect. So there's a circle in the middle. And then petal here, petal here. And then just gonna draw some petals all the way around. For this exercise, I'm not going to worry about it being perfect, but I do need it to be closed. So to make sure it's enclosed, make sure all of your lines connect. All right, so my petal is closed and my shirt is fully drawn. All right, so now we have a shirt that's fully drawn. And now let's color the shirt. To color the shirt, we're going to do something called reference. So click here, right here in the square, and then we're going to click reference. And I'm actually going to color below it. And I want to color in another layer. I know it can get a little confusing with all these layers, but that's just how digital art works, especially if you change your mind a lot. And when you work in different layers, if you make a mistake, you are able to delete that layer without deleting all of the work that you've done so far. So let's color the shirt. Let's keep it pink. I've been using pink lately. So let's do pink. So I turned on, let me refresh what I just said. The shirt layer that I just used where I created all of the details, I'm going to click on that and make sure reference is selected. Then I created a brand new layer, and now I'm going to color the shirt by drag and dropping. So I'm going to color the shirt light pink on one side and dark pink on this side. So let's put light pink here. Well, it's like a reddish pink, and then let's make a darker color and put it here on this side. There you go. And for the petal in the middle, I want to also have that dark red there. And then I think yellow. Or even, no, let's have some fun. Let's do, what color would match with this? Yeah, yellow. Yellow works. But I want a really light pale yellow. And I'm just dragging and dropping because I have my reference layer turned on. And I want yellow on the outsides. Oh, I didn't do something I taught you guys. You're supposed to keep your colors on a separate layer. But that's okay. All right, so I colored my shirt, but I don't like that black outline, so I'm going to change that. So let's go to the shirt that's above, the layer that's above. Tap that, turn off the reference, because I don't want reference anymore. And for my outline, I think this reddish color is what I want to use. So let's use that. So tap on it, tap select, and it's already on fill color, and I'm going to make it that reddish color. Yeah, that's fine with me. And I made this layer, I didn't need that. So let's rename this shirt as well. All right, so let's turn back on what we've colored so far. Let's just see how it looks. And let's turn off the guide. And let me move this out the way. And look at that. Oops, she doesn't have pants. I forgot to draw her pants. So we'll draw her pants. But you get the gist of how it's coming together. It's looking pretty good. Let's give her pants right now. I forgot to draw her pants. So a new layer. Pants will go under the shirt. Black. And I'm just going to draw her pants. And again, I'm going to make the pants come outside of her body here. All right, let me turn back on my guide so we're not confused and turn off everything else just so we can focus in on what we're making now, which is her pants. Let's rename this pants. And let's draw that. We're on a layer. I'm still using the syrup pen brush, and I'm still using black just to create the outlines because it's just easier to see. So let's make the pants now. The pants is just a curve on the side, but we're making sure that the line is on the outside of our guide. Again here. And I'm undo. And I'm making sure that the line goes all the way to the end of the page for this particular art piece. And now I'm going to just go across right here. So imagine like real clothes. Your shirt will either be tucked into your pants or your shirt will be over your pants. So that's the same idea in drawing. So her shirt is going to come over her pants. So this is her pants here. And I'm going to duplicate the layer. And the reason why is because I do like to have an outline, but I don't like it to be as pronounced with the black. And I'll explain that again. All right, so now I want her to have blue jeans. You could do like a dusty blue. And then the outline, I want it to be blue, but just a little bit darker. So I have 2 layers of pants. One is for the fill color, which I just created, and the top one is for the outline. Select here. And I should use a disclaimer that says that I am showing you how I color in the app. You're going to come across other artists who do it a totally different way, and that's okay. And once you are creating in the app, you're going to make it a totally different way. If that's what you prefer, if that's what you realize after playing around in the app, you're going to create your own style of how to color digitally as well. So I'm just showing you the way that I color. I'm not saying it is the right way. I'm just saying that this is my way. Okay, so I colored the pants. The outline for the pants is a little too dark for me. So I'm on the layer above my fill. I'm on my outline layer that I made. I'm going to hit select. And this bar at the bottom shows up. It's still on color fill, but I want it to be slightly darker. And I'm just going to do that. And it will update that color automatically for me. All right, so now let's turn back on everything once again. Let's turn off our guide. And there, let's move this out the way. So there, you see that? We did a really nice build of just building colors. And I did it this way to show you how I color my characters without using the heavy black outline. Some people like having that black outline in their art, but it's just not something that I prefer doing. So this is how I do it. All right, so now let's go back, turn back on our guide, and let's see. We're missing the face and a few details in the hair and her earrings and things like that. So let's work on that. I can't see her earrings right now, so let's turn off my hair layers. That way I can see what I'm missing. And I'm going to work on her earrings and her facial features. So let's turn off what I don't need. I don't need the face on right now or the body, just because I want to make sure I'm grabbing what I'm doing. So we're here, head. Let's make our next layer above the head. This will be face. So we'll put all her facial features on this layer. And the way I do that is I will actually separate out the eyes and the nose and the mouth and the hair, all of that. I'll separate it out. So for the face, let's not call this layer face. Let's just call this layer eyes. And I'm practicing my hand drawing skills today. So no symmetry today. We don't want to get too reliant on symmetry, especially if we're trying to increase our hand drawing skills. We're going to always want to practice. So now I'm working on the eye. I'm still using my syrup brush, and I'm using black. And I'm building the eye. In this illustration, the eye is closed, so it's really just her eyelash that I'm working on. It's an illusion that her eyes are closed. And now let's do the other side. No symmetry today. Because I want to practice my hand drawing skills. So here's her eye, not symmetrical today. So it's slightly different from the other side, but that's okay. Now, since her eyelashes are black, let's just color it in right here. Drag and drop. And done. We can use our eraser tool to clean it up just slightly. So I'm just erasing to clean it up slightly so that it comes to a point. Okay. So there's the eye. Eyes are done. And I'll separate out the face because of how differently I color everything on the face. So the eyes will get its own layer. The nose, I'll show you what I'll do with the nose in a second. So let's do the mouth. We'll leave it on black for now. And let's create the mouth. Because the mouth is closed, you want to do that middle line first. Okay. Then we're going to do the bottom lip is probably easier, so it's just a curved line. So the way I do lips, I don't know if you saw that, it's you start out, then come in. So you don't want to do this unless that's your style. But for the way I do mouths, it's like a line here. I pull it in while going down. Same thing here. Wait, I didn't mean to do that. And then I will just erase because it's a little too thick on this side. So the bottom lip is created, and then the top lip. There. Then another hump. So one hump, and then another. If I make a mistake, double tap to go backwards once. If you don't want to double tap, you could use these little arrows here. One is to go forward, one is to go backward. There's the lip. Not perfect, but it'll do. And then I'm going to just delete a little bit of the ends because I want it to taper. Okay, and that's good. So now let's go back on our head outline here. Let's turn that on, and we're going to build the nose and the creases in her mouth on this particular layer because I want it to be that exact same color. So because we already have brown, we can pick up brown here, or we could just stay with black. I'll show you how to recolor it. So because I already have black, let's just stay with black. And let's just make the nose. To make noses, if I sometimes will make like a realistic looking nose, or I'll make a cartoony nose. So this one is a cartoony nose, which is just a line. So it's a line at the top, and then I come down slightly underneath. That's how I make my little cartoony noses. It's a little too thick, so I'm just erasing some of it because I don't want it that thick. So there, my cartoony nose is done. And then the crease on the side, my characters, I always add a crease. You don't have to. It just depends on your art style. So for my art style, I do that. Your art style, the little things that you do will help you build up your art style and help you be recognizable, or make sure that your art is recognizable. It's the little details that you add into your art. So for me, my characters will have this little crease at the side of the mouth, but it's black. I don't want it black. I want it to be the same color, brown, as the outline. So let's do that. We're going to go back to layers. We're going to hit select, And it's on fill, but it's on fill black. I don't want it on that fill black. I want it on that brown. And there, everything is filled to that color. See, the nose is now that brownish color. Yeah. Now let's go back to the mouth. Let's color the mouth right now. Let's rename that lips. And we're going to do the same thing I did before. Is on the lips layer, we're going to tap it. We're going to hit reference. Then we're going to create a new layer underneath it. That's this. And we're going to color on this layer. So I want her bottom lip to be a light pink and her top lip a little bit darker. So I'm going to drag and drop there, make it a little darker, drag and drop here. And let's turn on her skin tone just to see if this complements, if this color works. And it does. Let me turn off the guide. It does work. This pink works with her skin tone. Now the outline, we don't want this black outline, so let's change that. Let's turn off our reference. And let's do pink, a slightly darker pink for the lips. So we're back on our lips layer. Let's tap that. Let's tap on select. And we're going to make it slightly darker. And done. Now you may notice that in the art, there's some like these little black lines here. And the reason that's happening is because the art is not overlapping. So there's a few ways you can fix that. So the way I'm going to fix it is I'm going to make another layer underneath these two lips, one more layer, and I'm going to go in with my brush and I'm just going to color it in and it should disappear. So let's see. Oh, it's not. What did I do wrong? Oh, I know what I did wrong. Let's try that again. Okay, there. So I didn't need this. I had to fill it twice to get rid of those little dots. Okay. That's the lips. Now the ends of my lips are a little too long, so I'm just going to go back through and delete. Go back through and delete. Okay, there. So we have our lip outline, we have our lip color. Let's add shine to the lips right here. I will work on separate layers for everything, and then I'll combine it later just to save myself some space. So now let's add some shine. To add some shine, let's do white or a light pink. White is easier, and I'll show you in a second. White, and let's add some shine to her lips there. Shine. The shine is kind of bright, so let's lower the opacity. Let's see. I still want to see it. 30 works. And I can do multiply, or lighten. No, I'll leave it at normal. So I added some shine. To do shine, I just created another line right here, and then I kind of followed the top curve in her lip. And when I zoom out, you see a shine. There's a little shine added to the lip. And when I'm done, I will merge it. For now, I'll leave it. I usually will merge my art layers when I know for sure I'm not going to make any more changes, or if I've run out of layers. And you will run out of layers if you're separating everything the way I do. All right, so her lip is done. Everything is done. Let's turn back on everything. Just take a look and see what we're missing. So we're missing her eyebrows and we're missing her earrings. Okay, so let's do that next. Turn off the hair so I can see what I'm doing. Turn back on the guide. And so we need hair. I usually will have hair at the back of the character and another layer of hair above the character. So the main style may be whatever falls behind the ears will be at the back, and whatever needs to fall in front of the ears will be on a totally different layer all the way up above everything. So let's do hair but above the face. So let's go back to our black color. We're still using our syrup brush. And now let's do the hair that's at the front. And the hair at the front will include the eyebrows for this exercise. Let's now create the eyebrows. So to create the eyebrows, we're just going to follow the guide. My guide is turned on and I'm on a new layer. I created a new layer. And this layer is going to be for all of the hair that's above the face. Like when I say above the face, like in front of the face. Like her hair, her eyebrows, her bangs, things like that. Even her, yeah, just her hair. All of the hair that's above the face. So let's do eyebrows. I'm going to follow the guide. I'm not going to make it difficult for me. Follow the guide. Now the hair at the front has this little curve here. So let's build that. Go around in. My symmetry again is not turned on. So I'm going to rebuild it on the other side because I am practicing my hand drawing skills here. Technology is cool, but sometimes we rely on it so much that we lose our own natural skills. So I used symmetry in the past, a couple of tutorials. So for this one, I wanted to do everything by hand. I'm going around, I'm just cleaning up my lines by deleting what I don't need. And I also want to make sure that the hair falls right onto the skin. And I'm making sure it does that. I made the hair detail and the eyebrows, but the eyebrows aren't colored in yet. So I'm going to make another new layer and I'm going to color in the hair underneath. And so let's do this hair as layer as a reference. So let's do that. So tap on hair, tap reference, and now it's telling me I'm using this as my reference point. So now I'm going to color in underneath using this top layer as the reference. So you don't see it, but it's there. So now when I drag and drop, it goes right into the hole of the outline without it filling in the other areas. So that's what it did. So this is, let's see, we got to rename this. These are her eyebrows. Return. And let's do a few more things. I forgot to do her ears. So let's head back over to the head layer. And to pick up the color, just press and hold so that I'm back using the color that I need. So I'm on the head layer, the fill in head layer, and I need to color in her ears. I forgot to do that before. So I'm just going to color in her ears right here. Same thing on this side. I forgot to do that before. So let's make sure she has ears. So that's what these little humps on the ends are, ears. Next, I'm going to go back. Now, what I'm doing right now, a perfect example as to why I have layers. Now I'm going to go back and adjust my layers accordingly. So I have an outline layer for the head. So let's go back to that. And I'm going to trace what I just made. And I'm picking up the color of my outline by just selecting it with my finger. And now I'm going to rebuild what I missed before. And again, I'm keeping everything on its own layer. So there. So I had forgotten to do ears before. I just went back and did her ears on the layers I've already created. So now, only thing that's left to make are her earrings and her headband. So let's do a brand new layer. Earrings needs to go above the ears, so we can make the earrings layer right here. Earrings. And I want black. Black just because I can see what I'm working on. And she has big hoop earrings. And I'm just following the guide that I have. I'm drawing here. Now, once you draw right here, you don't want to overlap your skin. So I have to go back in and I have to basically delete that line. Okay, but I do want to close it. So let's close it right here. And the reason why I want to close it is because it's just easier to color when everything's closed. Now I'm going to go on the other side and I'm doing the same thing. I'm making her earring on the other side. No symmetry today. Oh, that was messy. Let me take my time. And then I'm going to zoom in and delete what I don't need, which is right where it overlaps on the skin. I don't want it to overlap, but I do want to close out the shape because it's necessary for coloring in the image. So the earring is there. So let's color the earring. She has gold earrings. So we're going to create a new layer. So what I've been doing, I've been creating one layer for the outlines and then another layer for the fill. If you haven't noticed, that's what I've been doing. So let's create another layer to create the fill for the earrings. And now on my outline layer for the earrings, I'm going to use that as a reference. So let me turn off the other reference I had up here, turn it off. They're called attributes. An attribute is turned on if you see a little description underneath it. So I'm on the earrings. Let's go down to layer earrings, tap there, tap reference. And then right below it, I made a brand new layer that has nothing in it. And I'm going to fill color in this area. So my earrings reference is turned on. That means I'll be able to fill in the earring on this layer because my earrings reference is turned on. Earrings are gold color. I have gold already because I used it recently, but gold is usually between yellow and orange if you're eyeballing it. And let's just drag and drop. And then for my outline layer, let's go back to the earrings outline layer. Let's ungroup, let's turn off the reference. See that little description right there? Let's turn it off. That's how we know it's on. We also know it's on because of this little check mark. But let's turn it off. Just tap on it, turns it off. But now I don't like the black outline. So let's change that. So tap here. This dialog box pops up. Hit select. And it's already filling it in with the same gold I already had, but I want it a little bit darker. And there. So let me turn off my guide. So there, my earring is there. All right. It's not symmetrical, so you could tell this one looks a little chunkier, but that's okay. And to group, I'll show you how I group. Yes, you can group items together. So let's group what I've made so far. So these two layers are earrings. So to group something, you would select one and select the other. To select the other, you drag the layer to your right and let go. And then whatever is highlighted in this like blue color can be grouped. So right up here, you tap group, and it's now a new group. And you can rename groups as well. So tap here, rename earrings. Okay, so the only thing left to do is her headband. I know I didn't do her headband yet. And because her headband matches her shirt, I'm actually going to add the headband to her shirt layer. All right, if that makes sense. Because again, I like keeping certain elements on the same layers. So I know her headband's going to match her shirt. So I'm just going to build the headband into the shirt layer. So for the shirt, we have color and we have outline. So let's make the outline on the outline layer for the shirt. And let me turn off my guide just for a second because I want to make sure I pick up the same color pink that I've been using. So I'm zooming in, pressing and holding to get that pink, and I got it now. And I'm going to turn back on my guide just so I can see where the headband is. And I'm going to draw the headband into this layer. Let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. There. And the top band. Now, layers, remember I said digital art is all about illusion. So there's two things I could do. I could just clean it up here, or I could just move this layer that I made with the hair on top above it. And that's probably what I'm going to do. So that's what I did. The hair, I moved the hair above it so you can't see the end. So let's go back on the shirt layer, and I'm going to continue building the headband. I need to close the shape. Always close your shapes. So the headband is there. I'm now going to go on to color the headband. Let us use reference again. Now I'm going to click on the color, the layer with the fill colors. And I want this headband to be this color pink. Just going to press on it, hold. And then I'm going to drag and drop. And it's there. Now let's turn on everything and turn off our guide just to see the art that we made. Looks good, looks good. Now, at this point, what I would still need to do is shading. And I showed you in a different video how to shade, but we'll do it again here. All right, so I'm gonna speed through this part. So hopefully you'll grasp what I'm doing. I wanna color her hair. I think it's a little too dark because you can't see the outline. So let's lighten up her hair a little bit. Go to the hair layer. We're going to hit select. And I don't want it to fill pink, so let's take that off. But I do want to fill it with a different color. Let's try just a lighter brown, just so you can see the outline a little better. This looks purplish. No, I don't want purple. I want like brown. Let's see if that works. Yeah, I want it a little bit lighter. There. You can see that a little bit better. And I'm doing the same thing with the eyebrows. I want the eyebrows to be this color. And to do that, I'm going to select, now I'm going to hit that fill. And the outline, I don't like the black color outline, so let's change that. Select, oh, let me slow down. All right, the outline for the hair is currently black, and I don't like it. and I'm going to adjust the colors of the outline because I don't like it. That's all. If you like it, keep it. But for me, I don't like it. So I'm going to go to all of the layers that have my hair outlines, and I'm going to update the color. So let's do hair at the top. Select this layer, hit select, and I have it on fill, color fill, but I want it to be a little darker, but I want to see it. All right, that's good. Then I'm going to go all the way down to the other hair outline, which is the outside hair outline. And I want the same thing. So select, fill, and it made it a little brown. Now, as you can see, my hair at the top, it's over my eyelash, and I don't like that. So let's move the eyes above that layer. Again, everything's an illusion. And I just moved it above to make sure the eye is now above the hair. All right, so now let's just do what I usually do, and that's like jazz up the image. But let's just take a look at it. The build is pretty much done, right? This is it. The character is pretty much done. And now to make your character even more unique, you would go in and you would add whatever details you like on its own layer. You would just keep building. One thing I should say in digital art, especially in Procreate, if you keep building on the art, it's going to start looking more and more realistic. It's going to start looking more and more realistic if you keep adding color, and you don't want to do that. Well, unless that's what you want. I have a very artsy, cartoony art style, so I can't keep building. So if I wanted this to start looking more realistic, you would just keep going in with your shading, with your shadows and highlights. You just keep building, 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 and that's how you can get a more realistic look in your digital art. For me, my art style is cartoony, so I can't keep building, because if I keep building, it's just going to change how it looks. So all I'm going to do now, I'm going to add some shading, some shadows, some highlights, and some coloring to update the image. But I'm not going to do too much, only because I still want it to look cartoony when I'm done. All right, so now I'm just going to show you what I do to jazz up my art, and that's add some shadows and highlights. All right, so let's do that. Work on the face. I'm going to go just add a new layer anywhere. Because it's the face, I'll keep it around the head. I'm going to make sure it's below the lips but above the head, so new layer. And let's just go in and let's just jazz up this image a little bit more. And let's add some rosy cheeks. So the color. Now I'm going to change my brush for the first time. I'm going to use a airbrush. So go under brushes, scroll down to airbrushing, and the first one, soft brush, is fine. Just tap on it. And now I'm going to give her some rosy cheeks. Let's see if this color works. I don't see anything. Oh, it was too big. All right, let me make it smaller. Okay, there it is. All right, the color is still not right. Let's play around with the color just a little bit more. And again, I'm just eyeballing colors. And then gonna give her some rosy cheeks on each side. It's very faint. The harder you press, let's see, if I keep pressing, you'll see it come in, but I don't want that. So it's a very faint color on her cheeks. Next, I'm going to add some color to her eyes. I want her to have eyeshadow, but I want it to be a little bit lighter than her skin tone right now. So I just picked up her skin tone, and then I'm moving my brush up to make it lighter. And I'm going to give her a little bit of eyeshadow. but it's too thick. There. I'm just going to go around. Right? I came around a bit too far, so let's delete right here. I'd like to do the same thing with her nose, just right on the top. If the brush isn't working, you would just switch the brush to something else. And I'm going to do that because airbrushing makes the art very fluffy edges. But that fluffy edges doesn't work everywhere. So I'm going to go back to my trusty syrup brush to continue. And I'm going to add some trademark things that I do in my art. So I'll add a little highlight right underneath. Okay. Let's add some shadows. New layer again. This time I'm going to do some shadow around her face. Select the darker color brown. And I'm on a brand new layer. I'm using the syrup brush. And I'm going to go around the face. I'm adding shadows now. It's hard to see because it's the exact same color brown. How can I show you so you don't get confused? All right, so I'm doing the same color brown as the outline, but I'm going to apply a multiplier effect to it once I'm done. But you just got to trust the process. So I'm just going to outline her face again, come slightly inward. I want to do the same thing here on the neck. Then I want to go around on the inside of the skin. I'm actually building shadows right now. And then I also want to put the shadow. Sometimes my finger, I don't know, sometimes my finger won't turn my artboard. I think there's like oil on my hands. And I want to also build the shadow wherever the skin meets clothing. So let's do it here. And let's do it here. Okay. And I would do that all the way around. Let me just show you, keep showing you. I'm doing it on one side, no symmetry. So I'm adding some shadows to the art. And there's multiple ways to do this too. But I'm just going to go around and show you. And I want a little bit of shadow all the way around. Once I add my shadows in, I'll go to multiply. And then I will go down to like around 20%. And that's where my shadow is. So yeah, so let me just shade a little bit more just to bring up the image. All right, for some reason it's not the same color brown. Let's fix that. There. Okay. And let me turn on my multiplier so you can see what I'm doing. So same color brown, hit multiply and bring it down. Now you can see my shading. And my shading is going to go above the skin, but below the outline. So what I am doing, I am now building, I'm just building some shadows on the character. Now to do this, I had to make sure that I'm working in a layer above the item that I want to have shadow, but below the outline. So right now I'm adding shadow to the body. So that's where I'm working, right in between the body outline and the body fill. I'm adding my shading right there. And I'm just going to go around the image and shade it that way. And if I do too much, I'll just erase. But this is just a good way to just get that coloring itch that you may have. I know people are into coloring in coloring books right now, but I tried that years ago and it just was not for me. So I can make the outlines for you guys to color, but I'm going to stick to coloring my art digitally just because it helps me to just get to a finished result early. All right, so we did the body. Let's do the face. Same thing, find the face. I want to be on a layer in between the skin color and the skin outline. And let's make that multiply down to 35. The color is already the color that I want it to be. Brush is syrup, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to shade the face. To shade the face, you just want to follow your outline. It's a little too dark, so let me lower the multiplier, the opacity, just slightly. And then I'm going to go around, do the same thing. Actually, it doesn't look like it needs it. I'm adding to it where it doesn't need to be. All right, and now I need it here by the hair. That's what I was doing wrong. Hair. And as you're building, if you notice that there's just certain things that's not working out, just move them around. So like right now, I know this needs to come. This is the cheeks coloring. I need to just move it down. And her nose, I'm not happy with her nose. Let's fix that. Yeah, for the hair, you want the top of the hair lighter and the bottom to be darker. So let's do that. So I'm going to select the hair. And by selecting, it's creating a mask where I'm only going to be able to color in the hair and nothing else. So I don't know, hopefully you can see those like slanted parallel lines right here. That means when that's turned on, you can't color there. You can always color within. And right now it's the hair that I selected. I'm going to create a new layer. And now I'm going to make, I want the bottom a little bit darker. So let's use airbrush because I want it to blend. Airbrushing, I use airbrushing when I want my colors to blend. I don't want like a hard distinction between colors. I want the colors to blend. That's when I use airbrushing. And I want it to be a little bit darker. Just slightly. Let's try that. And let's see. Yes, it's there. So my airbrush, make it bigger. And I want it darker around the back of her head and around her shoulders. So let's do that. And then, all right, so the blending is not what I need. That means I just need to make my brush a little bit bigger. And I need to be lighter with my hand. I was pressing too hard. So there, yes, it's doing it. It's hard to see. You'll see it better when I zoom out. But there's like a darkness towards the bottom of her hair. Right? And underneath. So I wanted to go from light to dark. And that's what I did. And then I want the top to be much lighter. So let's see if it'll pick that up here. Let's see, add a lighter brown. Yes, you can see that. And then I'm just going to go in and just slightly brush across. So the top is light, the middle is regular, and then the bottom is dark brown. Let's turn off that. So you can see it flowing from light to dark. It's very subtle, but it's there. And if you want to add even more highlights, you can. There's a few ways that I do that. Let's select the hair one more time. Only because I don't want to color outside of the hair. Now let's give her some a halo effect on the hair. To do that, you want the hair color still brown, just much lighter. And I want the brush to go back to, I'm going to go back to my inking syrup brush. Hopefully that'll work. If it doesn't work, I'll change the brush again. So I have a new layer, and I'm just going to highlight or give her a halo effect in her hair. So on a new layer, I selected the hair just so I don't color outside the line. So now let me see. I'm going to add a halo effect. So to do that, you're just going to make some lines, and you want to make it like a semicircle. Like you want it to be in a semicircle shape. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to bring it around. Pretend that it's here, 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 here. And then I'm going to continue it around on the other side. I probably should have used symmetry on this, but. And as I go out, I'm making the lines a little bit bigger. So there's like a halo effect on her hair. So this is just another lighting technique. And then what I do, I use my smudge tool. That's this little finger here. And I just pull. Oh, it's too big. Let's see. It's using my syrup, but it's just too big. Smudge tool, much smaller smudge. And then I'm just going to pull down. And I will do this over and over and over just to blend it out a bit more. And I'll go up. And I'll do this over and over. Just to, again, illusion. Just to make it seem like her hair has some sheen to it. And I'll do the same thing here. I'll pull. And to really get it to look great, I will do this. I'll spend a good amount of time and just pull down. Start from the center, pull, pull. And then start from the center, push. We have to be careful because it can overlap in certain areas and it won't look so good. And I'll keep working on it until it's kind of sloppy right now, but I'll keep working on it until it gets to what I want it to do. And then I'll just lower the opacity because again, you don't want it to be so like in your face. All right, so let's take a look. So that's a halo effect there. And if I don't like it, just turn off that layer and I'll do something else. So let's try something else with my syrup tool, and I'll just add in highlights this way too. I'll just go around the curves. I'll find the curves and I'll just follow it. Or I'll add in my own curves since her hair is kind of wavy. I rotate my canvas around as needed. Come on, turn. And it's still kind of bright, so you could do multiply on that layer. or let's see, lighten, screen. There's all these different options you can try to mess with the coloring of the image. This one's called difference. Let's see. I like soft light. That's nice. But you can't see it on soft light. Lighter color, you can see it, and I'll still lower the opacity just so it's not such a harsh color, right? There's some highlights there. That's done. And then let's do something new that we haven't done yet. Let's give her some baby hairs. New layer. Let's see if this will work. I might be doing a bit too much. Baby hair, you want to be light. Let's see. Yeah, her hairline, it doesn't call for baby hairs, so I'm just being extra. Let's see. It's there. To do baby hairs, I just use the same pen or the same brush I've always used, and I just lower the size of it so it's thin, and I just make squiggly lines around the hairline. And again, digital art, if it doesn't look good, I'll just delete it or turn it off. I didn't shade in her shirt today, but I am fresh out of time. Woo! We've been going for about 2 hours. I'm fresh out of time, so I'm gonna end the live here. But in this, let me just recap. In this live stream, what I did, I showed you how to color the image in a totally different way. I personally don't like using black outlines in my art. So this is one of the ways that I do. I will just color the outline a color that's slightly darker than whatever I'm using. So if the shirt is pink, I'll make the outline slightly darker pink. I did the same thing here. The pants is blue, so I made my outline slightly blue. And that's just my personal preference. In my art, you'll see I don't really use black outline, and that's just my art style. If you like black outline and that's what you want to use, go right ahead. But I wanted to show you today how you can color an image to fit your art style. And for me, my art style, I don't really utilize black outlines that much. Only if I need to or if the image calls for it. But for the most part, if you study my posts in the past, or if you look at the art that I've shared in the past, you'll see that I don't really use black outline. And that's because it's still an outline. It's just that I color it differently. I'll remove the black and I'll just color it a slightly darker color than whatever image it is. And sometimes I'll remove the outline altogether and I'll rely solely on shading. So let me turn off my outlines just to see what that looks like. All right, that one I need. Let's see. Turn off the body. Oh no, I need to leave it on for this one. But sometimes I won't use an outline at all, where I'll make sure the outline is the same color as the skin, and I'll just shade the image. And that's how you can tell the difference between like a head and a neck and things like that. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed this session. This was a lot of fun. Visit me at artbizbakery.com to access this course. It is a free course for the month of February. For those of you who are trying to understand how to draw in Procreate, it's a beginner's course. So at artbizbakery.com, the link is in my bio. Just look for my name, click that link, and it should be there. Otherwise, follow me, subscribe, and I hope to do this with you more. Have a great rest of your day. Bye. This video has been sponsored by The Dime Smiles, which is my refreshingly delightful art brand where I get to create the cutest character art and place them on high quality goods to simply brighten your day. So head on over to thedimesmiles.com and grab yourself something cute.